Well, welcome to the second in a series of videos to look at some of the investment themes in our multi-asset portfolios in a little bit more depth. Today I've got Mike Pingera. He's the fund manager for our real assets fund. Mike, what kind of options are there to invest in renewable technologies?
So the oldest renewable technology is hydro, but realistically in today's world the two main areas to invest is wind and solar.
When a lot of people think about renewable technologies like wind and solar, they probably think about subsidies. Is that still the case? How much is these industries subsidised?
Well, it was certainly true that to get these industries off the ground, they required subsidies. And it's no surprise that those governments, the UK government and others who put subsidies in place in the first place, they have definitely facilitated the move forward. The reality is that the costs of the technologies have come down to the point where they no longer require subsidies. Now, that's not the case in every market, but we are already beginning to see assets being built without subsidies attached. So historically, yes, that they required subsidies, but that's not the case moving forward.
When we think about the scale of investment opportunity, there are so many more companies to choose from now. In the past, it was probably viewed as a bit of a niche area, but now it's big enough that it can attract large amounts of capital. What does that mean for you, and what about the global opportunities there?
Yeah, there's two ends of the market in terms of size of company. You've got small companies which are developing fresh technology, but increasingly we're also seeing larger, more established companies view investments in renewables as the way forward. We've seen this most recently with the likes of BP and Royal Dutch making announcements regarding their future plans. But it's worth noting that the largest, in terms of market capitalisation, company that we have in the real asset fund is over $100 billion. So the renewable space really does offer investments for the mega cap companies as well as emerging new smaller companies.
Given the amount of investment that's gone into this industry and the size it now commands, have we reached a tipping point?
So over the last 5 years, about $2 trillion has been invested into renewables. When we look at the amount of renewable usage in various countries and regions, the UK, for example, gets about 38% of its energy from renewables. So we still have a long way to go. The forecast for the next 10 years is currently between $5 and $10 trillion. So I think we have reached a tipping point where renewables are becoming the chosen route, but we still have a long way to go.
So the market's there, the opportunity's there, and the growth is there. And as investors, that's what we look for, growth. What kind of companies do you own in your portfolios to take advantage of that?
The largest two names that we own, Ørsted, which is a Danish company, and Brookfield Renewable, which is a US-based business. Both of those businesses are still very much in the growth phase. Ørsted is rolling out wind farms in the US and in Asia, so really moving from their traditional European base. Brookfield is a more diversified business, primarily focused on the US, which is obviously a huge market. Both of those businesses continue to see opportunities in existing technology, as well as in Ørsted's case in particular, in developing new technologies as well.
It's good to see so many opportunities in your fund that allows us to leverage off that and pick them into the multi-asset funds. Solid bank of investment ideas behind there. We currently have Ørsted as our preferred way to play this. And really, when we look at the world today, growth is uncertain in a lot of places. We look at what's happening to the economy. We look at what's happening to people's jobs and those transitions that we're taking. When I think about Ørsted, I think about the high degree of certainty that we have and conviction that we have that this is 10, 15, 20 year build out projects that it's going to do. And then when we start to add in these extra ways where it can really add value to society and itself. Some of the hydrogen technology that you talked about, I think that's a real kicker to potential investment returns as well. So for me, that's why Ørsted's really earned its way into the portfolio. But just on that hydrogen part, because not everyone might be aware of that, could you tell us a bit about how that project works and what it's trying to do?
Yeah, so one of the challenges for renewable energy is that it's hard to use solar power or wind power in heavy industrial applications. So it's difficult to power a steel plant using wind power. Hydrogen potentially provides a solution for heavy industry. Now, to produce hydrogen, you essentially need electricity and you need water. So where companies have surplus power, particularly with offshore wind farms, it's an opportunity to use that surplus power to produce hydrogen. So the UK government is funding a trial with Ørsted. They announced that earlier in the year. The German government announced the €9 billion plan to introduce hydrogen to the economy. This morning, I've seen that Ørsted have announced a plan to use those same hydrogen electrolyzers, but to produce green ammonia. So they're finding new ways, not only of producing clean electricity, but then using that clean electricity to produce other forms of clean power.
And some of this power, the hydrogen in particular, powers some of the buses that we have around London. So it's not just that renewable energy is encroaching in electricity use, it's now starting to move into vehicles and other places where oil might be used as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's very much that heavy industry. It's transportable. You can move it around. And of course, in developed nations where you have availability to power everywhere, it's easier. But when you think of it on a global scale, your hydrogen is a very attractive solution. Because it's transportable, you can move it around, you can use it for heavy industry solutions.
Well, definitely a lot to think about. Mike, thanks for taking time
Pleasure.
with us today. From our point of view, it's really good to have the resources that Mike and his team bring to the multi-asset portfolios and to have that depth of investment opportunities that we can utilise.